have an ought against someone on the praise team, or maybe I want to be a part of the praise team, but I didn't qualify to be a part of the praise team. But maybe I just don't like the songs that they're singing, how they're wearing. So if I don't like it, therefore I'm going to say something antagonistic to affect the vision. So an antagonist is a person who fights, who opposes, being against and competes with another. When you are competing for the pastor's attention, you are an antagonist.
Yes.
You have the spirit of enmity. There are people, you have children who compete for parents' attention. And so a lot of times, even, let me tell you one of the greatest examples of competition in ministry is behind the pulpit.
Yes, it is.
People compete as to how they preach.
Yep.
All you have to do is just be you.
Right.
You don't have to preach like T.D. Jakes or Juanita Bynum. We already have a T.D. Jakes or Juanita Bynum. We just need another you.
Yes.
So a lot of people debate over scripture.
Jesus.
They compete in scripture. They compete in preaching, delivery styles. They compete, but the thing that you need to be competing is compete in how you pray.
Yes.
Compete in how you fast.
Yes.
Compete in how you read the word. Those are areas you need to have positive competition in and not negative.
Right.
You have people in the church, they always oppose and they always have that old fighting spirit. If you were never delivered of that old fighting spirit of violence in the world, then when you come to the house of God, you still have that same old rebellious fighting spirit. And therefore you're fighting against the things of God. So if you're always opposing, if you're always fighting, if you're competing against, antagonist knows how to make a threat come to a head. Without it, it may go away. For example, what an antagonist does, they harbor hatred and resentment. Oh, some of you don't like change. That sister came in church, and she knows she didn't speak to me, so you have harbor hatred and resentment. You can't let it go. How many of you have issues that you're dealing with? Maybe you're dealing with your past. You harbor hatred and resentment against things that happened to you in your past. There's some things you got to close the door on and let it go. Somebody says, I got to let it go. I got to let it go. You may have it against another saint. You may have it against a family member. You may be harboring hatred and resentment against your parents. Whatever it is, you got to let it go. Somebody says, I got to let it go. When you can't let it go, it means that you have an unforgiving spirit. And whenever you have an unforgiving spirit, then you are harboring resentment and hatred, and what it does, it poisons, it makes you bitter. And when you become bitter, then that means that the presence of God does not exist in a bitter person. And then the voice that you hear the voice of bitter, but you think it's the voice of God. And therefore you begin to respond rather than you begin to respond bitterly, which means that you are now an opposer of God, and you are working against God, and God sees you as a member of the tribe.
Yes.
But you still feel the Holy Ghost with a mighty burning tongue. But what you don't understand is the presence of God is not there.
Yes.
When you are unforgiving, it keeps the situation fresh.
Yes.
When you don't forgive, and you carry a chip on your shoulder, and any little thing someone does can set you off. And then you go there. You go there. And you got to be it's so dangerous until you got to let it go. Somebody say, I got to let it go. I got to let it go. What happened yesteryear, what happened a long time ago, you have to let it go. You can't continue to harbor bitterness. Another definition of enmity, another voice of enmity is animus, A-N-I-M-U-S. Animus adds to animosity. Animosity is a feeling of strong dislike or hatred. For example, Well, for example, you're making fun of people. There are some people in church who like to make fun of other people. Who like to laugh at the same. And you misbehave. You have irrational behavior, or you have intense ill will or vindictiveness. And what happens whenever that exists in you, it is based upon your prejudice, your prejudices, and it is also based on your behavior. Based on personal character. So whenever you have animosity, then your behavior is based on your personal character. Now in the church, one of the best examples of animosity is whenever you oppose authority. Most of you did not submit to parental authority. You did not submit to your teachers. You did not submit to legal authority. Therefore, you did not submit to spiritual authority. We cannot recognize the devil because we have all of him in us. The Latin word the Latin definition of enemy is Enmity, E-N-E-M-I-T-E in the mid-English history. It means an Enmite means not friendly or not a friend. So whenever you are my enemy, you are an Enmite, which means that you are not friendly. You are not my friend. And whenever you are not a person's friend, then you are a member of an opposite tribe, or you are an opposer of them. And therefore, nothing that they say or do can be pleasing to you. Antipathy, great dislike. Have you ever come to church, you see people and you get sick to your stomach? No, we're talking about the voice of enmity. That means that there are Enmites. Right. That there are 7 Enmites. These are Enmites. This is the voice of enmity. How can God would not cause you to hate God. No. God would not hate God. No. The Bible says a house divided against itself will not stand. So whenever there is antipathy, when I see you, I get nauseated. Yeah, girl, I just can't stand her. I can't stomach her. And then you become nauseous, and then that person is very repulsive to you and distasteful. Saints, we got to get rid of these feelings. You can't work together on ministry vision events or activities. Whenever there is whenever animosity and antipathy exists. Antipathy, great dislike. Who do you have great dislike for? Who do you have great dislike for? A lot of times when we have great dislike for someone, it is concealed.
Yes, it is.
That's concealed hatred. And most often it is a figment of your imagination. It is an issue that you're dealing with. And whatever you feel like however you feel like that person feels, that person does not feel that way. But it's in you.